Hey, this is Kyle Crawford from Strong Dads. Strong Dads wants to thank Crimer Beer House for sponsoring today's Strong Dads podcast. The beer house was started in 1982 by the Crimer family. Since that time, they have become a Cincinnati favorite. If you're looking for an incredible meal and an incredible setting, you have to try Crimer's Beer House down on Route 128 in Cleves, Ohio.
Welcome to Strong Dads. Hey, this is Merle Hutchinson and Kyle Crawford. Kyle, how are you doing this morning?
Do I have to be honest? Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
you look a little pale. What's going
on? I'm great, Merle. I couldn't be any better.
Yeah. So you just finished up like some 36-hour
36-hour shift. Yeah, I got off last night
as a paramedic.
Yeah, I was still in the ladder truck, but 36 hours with all the madness going on in this here country. So it was riveting.
Yeah,
riveting to say the least.
So most of our shows, we try to do them in a way that they're gonna have somewhat of an open shelf life.
Yep.
But certain things happen in life that are put a kind of a stamp on in the calendar. Like, okay, this is coronavirus 2020.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're listening to this show and it's 2025, I'm not sure if coronavirus is
you'll know about it though.
It'll be in the history books already.
Yep.
But hopefully we'll be well past any of the troubles of it. So we are going to talk a little bit today, not really about coronavirus, but about some other stuff, especially as strong dads, what we are called to do in these turbulent, crazy times. And so we certainly don't want you to turn off because of it's another show about corona.
Yeah.
Instead, we really want to take a different road and challenge you strong dads out there to see, well, what are you really supposed to be doing? How are you supposed to be reacting? What's your attitude? What's your mood? Because if we don't stand out as Christians during this time, we're missing a great opportunity to show people why we do have the faith that we do.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we better have some faith in a couple sponsors. You ready to you can do the beer house?
We're gonna do this one. The last time I gave you a hard time because you messed it up when it was scripted.
I didn't really
it was scripted.
No, I was trying to be as good as you, and I choked.
Is that what it was?
I choked because the comparison thing killed me.
Yes, Strong Dads definitely wants to thank the Crimer's Beer House down on Route 128 for coming alongside of Strong Dads and believing in what we believe in. So if you guys are looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down on Route 128 in Cleves, Ohio, and check out Crimer's Beer House.
All right, very good. I also would like to thank Mansfield Insurance. Mansfield Insurance Agency is located in Bright, Indiana. And Mansfield Insurance helps to not just be a provider of insurance, but creates a strong, sound business based in the service of their clients. So for all your insurance needs, contact Mansfield Insurance. They serve the areas of Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And so please give them a call. All right. So
we did pretty good there. That was pretty good.
Not too bad. I wasn't as good as you, but never. I think it's the aging process.
Is that what it is?
Just not as sharp as you. I want to ask you something about. Let's talk a little bit about worry. Okay.
Yeah.
So as Christians, I've known many Christians. Myself being a Christian, worry has never completely left my life.
Sure.
Right. I think about the time when Jesus was taken away by the Jewish authorities, and the disciples around him were freaking out.
Sure.
And again, Jesus was hung on a cross,
right.
And at that point, the disciples were freaking out because they were hiding up in a room somewhere, not knowing what the next step was going to be for them.
Right.
And even though they had been hanging out with Jesus for the last 3 years, he had told them many awesome things. He saw his miracles. All of a sudden, when the authorities started knocking on their door saying, wait, are you a follower of this Jesus guy? They started to run.
Yeah.
Right? And Jesus shows up after his resurrection in the room, and the first thing he says is, take peace.
Yeah.
Right? Calm down.
Yeah.
Settle yourself. Don't you remember all those things I just talked about for the past 3 years? And so we still worry, even though we've had guidance from the best in Jesus Christ. And as we talk about, again, we certainly do not want to act like authorities on coronavirus, right?
No.
Because I don't know. And I'm not, I think a lot of it could be hype or whatever. I'm not really going to go down that road because that's certainly not my expertise.
Right.
But I do know a little bit about worry. And I also know a little bit about what sometimes gets running in our heads.
Oh, yeah.
How we blow stuff up in our heads. Do you know the percentage of things that actually come true that we worry about? Have you ever heard of any of these stats?
No. Please do tell me, though. This is
you
good.
know, I think about through the course of a day or a week, like all the crud that we worry about. Whether it's like, well, I wonder if the kids are okay. I wonder if I'm going to be able to get this part of, my job covered, or, all these stupid things that run through our head. Research has shown that less than 10%, only about 9% of all the stuff that goes through our head that we would consider a worry, only about 9% even comes close to coming true.
Wow.
So over 90% of the stuff that runs through your head doesn't even have a life to it, right? But think about how crazy, if you could get rid of 90% of the crazy in your world, how calm you could be.
Yeah.
All right? And so one of the things we're talking about here today is perspective, trying to keep perspective. And if we can keep perspective, we can then, the things that we should, that are going to come true, then we can wrap our head and our energy around how we're going to deal with those things.
Sure.
Because I don't want to minimize the idea that something could go wrong and say, oh, it's not going to go wrong. Because you know what? That one time that it does go wrong, that time that you go to the doctor's appointment and you did come up with the cancer, or you do have a medical concern, or your kid is ill, I don't want to look at that person and say, oh, it's, man, unlucky you, because things do happen.
Right.
Anyway, so most of the stuff we worry about is not worth worrying about. So you just had a crazy time at work. Can you give us a little idea of how much crazy worry and panic you saw from a first responder's perspective?
Yeah, it's difficult. Just, I was talking to the guys at work about this, and, when, 9/11 happened, 9/11 was one of those things, we could touch it, we could feel, we knew exactly what it was. And with everything going on right now in our country with the corona, the COVID-19, it's the unknown. It's right. There's people walking around right now that are asymptomatic, that are showing no symptoms whatsoever, having this illness that, yes, is killing people. And truly the I would say the panic part of it comes from the guys I work with, because we are at such a high risk for contracting it and being exposed to it. And so that definitely brings, worrisome, more so for our family, and knowing that we have to go home after potentially being exposed to someone who has it and not having symptoms for 2 to 14 days. So when we'll sit around and we talk about it, and right now we have to disinfect our firehouse twice a day, which I think are all decent. They're good stuff to have. Right now there's a huge influx with people getting outfits and suits to put on to protect themselves. Well, first responders, nurse, doctors, those are the people that are going to really they're coming in contact with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So it is the mass, scare that is going on. We're not seeing a whole lot of it as far as patients go. We'll make runs on patients, and if they show certain signs and symptoms, we can tell them, hospital probably is not going to be the best place for you, because truly, if you're going to get it, it'll probably be in a hospital setting. And that's not to say we shouldn't take people to hospital. If they need to go to hospital, they need to go.
Right.
But we're trying to limit the number of people that are in those hospital settings that don't necessarily are having certain signs and symptoms that are not telltale signs of the actual COVID-19. And all this is coming from our medical director. So, again, I'm by no means an expert when it comes to the COVID-19, the coronavirus. I'm just going off of what I'm being told by people a lot smarter than me. So there's definitely a lot of stress. There's a lot of unknown, the uncertainty of things, which I think is exactly what you were talking about, having that perspective. I've been trying to fight it and trying to put up a strong front in some regards, and you know, I have a different perspective than a lot of guys I work with. I know that I'm not made for this world, and if this is what this world offers, I'm not made for it. And, you know, Jenny and I talk, and, you know, like, if this is it, this is it, you know. And so there's definitely some form of a peace about it in that regard. You know, it's hard, though, when, you know, it's such a fluid situation. Every minute, every hour, we're getting new information coming down from our bosses that are letting us know different ways to approach these patients. So that it is an ever-changing world that we currently live in, especially with all this stuff going on. But for me, that one solid foundation that doesn't change for me is kind of gives me that ultimate perspective. So, yeah, right. It's crazy. It's you know, unprecedented times. So unprecedented things happen. You know, obviously our country's never shut down this way before. This is the most, you know, government reach out that's ever probably happened for years. I mean, well, you're pretty old, so
yeah, that's nice. Thanks. Yeah, in fact, you were reminding me that I'm actually in the high risk category.
You are.
Yeah, that's great. That
as I blew you a kiss.
Yeah. You know, so let's back up a little bit from the perspective of our show today. Is really talking about, okay, so as strong dads and as Christian men, what is our take on this? You called the other day, and you were definitely you're just coming off your shift. You were still pretty cranked up. You were tired, and you were just like talking about the insanity level of all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I definitely felt like this was an opportunity for you to vent and get some of that off of you. But I want to back up from the sense of you're going back to work, I think, tonight or tomorrow or something like that. You're going back to work. So you've had an opportunity to regroup. So you're on the front lines of the battlefield. You got to come back, reload. What is the perspective that you need to take when you walk in? And not so much, professionally, I know you're going to handle yourself right with the clients, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But what about the other people, the other work folks that you're with, your other professionals, and when they go down this road of whining or complaining or being angry or being upset, what are you going to do? How are you going to set yourself up to be different than what you're running into?
Yeah, you know, this is something a lot of guys at my crew, we talk about a lot. We watch out for each other. This is something we are very good in the fire service about doing. It is about the team and everyone involved. You know, in the fire service, a lot of times we call each other. You know, we don't necessarily always call each other, but it's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And that knowing that I'm not alone in this. Knowing that the other guys have similar feelings I do, whether it is a worry, whether it is, you know, I have something deeper. I know there's more to life than what this, you know, what America's presenting right now. So, you know, our crew, we're really good about knowing it's us. We're in this together. You know, Jesus did life with other guys. So I think it's, you know, having that perspective, knowing that when other guys come into my firehouse that I don't work with every day, I don't get a chance to have conversation when they are freaking out about it. Having a strong front with the guys I work with, that we're in this together. We're fine. We know how to you know, we know the certain proper things that are procedures that have been put in place, the things that we have to do in order to help prevent, you know, hopefully exposures. So just knowing that I'm not alone in this, and kind of I'm able to have a little bit of a peace about it. I'm a little bit more calm about the whole situation than most, which is hard to believe because I get pretty fired up about it. But you know, there's you know the paranoia. Like, guys are gonna get very paranoid about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can't touch a single surface, and you know there's so much that goes into again, just like you were saying, your mind kind of takes you all over the place. And I just hold on to the truth that I know that I'm not made for this world. And again, it might be doom and gloom that if this is what it is, I'm okay with it. I have peace for the fact that I know I'm not made for this world. And you know, if this is my time, then it's my time, and I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with the fact that I know who my Father is. I know where I'm going when I die. And again, I'm not trying to sound doom and gloom here at all. It's just the important thing is, again, just having that perspective, knowing that, yes, I have a job to do, and I will continue to do my job as long as there's a need for it, as long as the community still needs police and fire, military, like as long as they still need that, which will hopefully always be there. I'm going to come. I'm going to perform my job to the best of my ability. And if I expose myself to something, then I have that perspective. I have that peace about it.
So I mean, I'm definitely hearing you that you yourself have kind of established how you're going to keep peace with yourself.
Sure.
But I want to step outside of you and talk about as a strong witness. What are you doing, and what are we called to do to let these other guys know that there's a better way to handle this, that there is a calmness, that you're not going to partake in the conversation of
and that's
chaos
very
and
hard
crazy.
to do.
Right. I mean, this is where we make the difference. If we go in, Lynn and I talk about this all the time when we're talking about couples who are having a hard time in marriage and they come in for some coaching, and the husband just ticked off the wife, and the wife went over to her workplace and she was sharing with her girlfriends what happened, and her girlfriends add to the insanity thinking that she already has, and so they whip up a storm. So by the time she's done with her work shift, she's going home and she's ready for the divorce. And so our point with all that is you need new friends.
Yeah.
Right. Well, as a Christian, you are called to be that different friend. Yeah. So when you go into work tonight or tomorrow and you hear the insanity, you're a totally different warrior now because of the realization of the peace that you have. And to partake in the garbage talk that we do it's a slap in the face of Christ.
Sure.
And all of us strong dads have to really understand that, whether it's to trash talk on radio that we hear, on talk shows. I listen to that stuff, and I'm finally like, I can't even take this garbage in because I can't let that pollute the peace that I have.
Yeah.
And so, I challenge you, Kyle, that when you do go back into your work setting, that you don't even go down that road. Part of our problem right now in this hysteria, and we've talked about this before, we do fire drills in schools so that we can keep the hysteria down when the actual fire does occur, because everybody's practiced and know what the protocols are. We have a lot of unknown protocols that haven't been developed yet. And so trying to figure these out. But as a first responder, you guys, everybody's looking to you. Right? They're like, well, what's the fire guys? What's the paramedic guys say? But this is where you have to show your colors. This is really where you have to stand up. In the middle of a battle, the guy, your commanding officer, does not know exactly what's going to happen in that battle. But he has to show confidence and peace. Otherwise, if he's freaking out, all of his troops are going to go right down that road.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so whether it's the President of the United States, or whether it's the Director of CDC, or if it's you or me in our own home, we cannot partake in garbage.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We can't. And listen, this is not to diminish the severity of a crisis.
Absolutely.
That's not what we're doing. I mean, I don't know how this thing turns out.
Right.
None of us do. What it is to say is, who are you going to be in the crisis?
Right.
This is what we're looking at.
Right.
And I don't really care what everybody else looks like.
Yeah.
Whether it's the fire chief, whether it's the principal down at the school. Questioning what they do is wasted energy.
Sure.
It's wasted energy, and it gives me no opportunity to actually show the light of Christ here.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is, and I actually started doing this before kind of the mayhem of the coronavirus came into, and I heard it from someone down at Whitewater, actually one of the healthy marriage classes that you do. It's been something I've been doing for about a week and a half now. 3 times a day my phone goes off, and I do the Lord's Prayer. And this has been something, especially now with the chaos, being at work for 36 hours, This has been something 3 times a day, 8 a.m., 8 p.m., and 1 p.m. My phone goes off, and I just do the Lord's Prayer. And it's been such a good reminder for, again, that perspective that I'm not here for man, that there's so much bigger for my life. In times in crisis, just like you were saying, in crisis, it's nice to have that rock, that foundation, which gives me that perspective. And my hope is, yes, other people see that, and there is a calmness about the way I approach the current situation. So that's been really cool. So any of you strong dads out there that have family that are in crisis and they're in this and just that idea that we're called to be protectors, we're called to be leaders in our family. Whatever it is for you, for me, it's been the Lord's Prayer. It's been awesome. Whatever it is, find something, that constant reminder, something that constantly reminds you of why we're here, and just gives you that kind of a eternal perspective. When we started talking about doing this show, one of the verses that kind of came up, and I think I've actually made reference to this before in this show. It's John 16:33, and it says, "I have told you these things so that in me," and this is Jesus talking. It says, "I have told you these things so that in me you have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world."
Yeah.
And man, that is so powerful. These unknown, these times when there's so much unknown, we're not sure. We don't know everything there is to know about the coronavirus. We don't know everything there is to know about what's going on in our current world. Like that peace that I have because I know that Jesus overcame the world.
Right.
And it's just so cool to know, whether you're talking, whatever you're talking about, to know that there was a man that died for me, that lived in this world, and he overcame it. And to me, that is the peace that I hold on to, especially in these. We don't know what these times. These are times that have never happened before.
Right.
So these are, and I believe in my heart of heart that Jesus, he knew that these times like these were going to happen, and that's why he put stuff like that in Scripture.
That's right. He told us they would. Right.
Yeah.
There was always going to be storms, and I think reading that verse is important. Living that verse is more important.
Absolutely.
Right. And so for you strong dads that are out there listening, the challenge for you is to actually step up your game and don't diminish the crisis, okay? What I mean by that is don't go, oh, this isn't happening, this is stupid. Because that doesn't buy you any credibility with the people that you're going to try to work for. They just go, oh, well, he's ignorant, okay? And so instead, to show them calmness in the storm that you are in, because that's the practice that they will admire.
Right.
Like, wow, that dude, he's solid. Yeah. Because if we spend our time bad mouthing everything about it, we are actually doing the exact same thing as the panicked people.
Sure.
As the people who are losing their mind. We're losing our mind saying that they're losing their mind.
Right.
Okay. And so that does not show peace.
Right.
That doesn't show peace. And,
thanks for convicting me. I appreciate that.
Well, that's, again, our conversation, and I've been where you are. I mean, in school settings, I remember when we had H1N1, we had to practically shut that school down. We had a room, isolation room, and all this stuff. I was like, this is crazy. This is nuts. And then at the end of the day, I was like, I can't change policy. That's out of my control.
Right.
That's out of my control. I'm wasting time and energy. So until I'm in a position of changing policy, which I don't really want to be in, okay, because as we said, I'm not smart enough to know that.
Right.
I'm going to roll with the policy that is, but I'm going to try to speak peace into the environments that I walk in.
Yeah.
And that I think that's what Christ wants us to do, because like as you said, I'm not of this world. I'm going to take peace everywhere I go. And I'm just going to be there to say, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
What can I do for you? Whether it's just to sit and be calm, whatever it is. Yeah. Philippians 4:7. Then I just think this, when you talk about God's peace, it says, then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. Mm-hmm. What God's peace is different in the sense that it's eternally peaceful, right? He knows the outcome. All things work for his good.
Sure.
And I just think that's really settling, especially around people who don't understand that.
Yeah.
And they look at you like, your house is on fire, you should be panicking, and you're like, no, we're good. We're good. Yeah. That's a crazy sense of peace.
Yeah, and this is something I've talked to Jenny before about it. It's to me, at some point, this world has to stop looking internally, like have to stop looking at our own, and like government has to fix our problems, or whoever, a leader in a leadership position has to stop fixing our problems. And maybe, like, if you're a strong dad out there, if you're a dad out there that doesn't really buy into this whole Jesus thing, like, give it a shot right now. Because right now is a great time to lean onto something. Because, again, we shouldn't minimize a crisis, but we should be lifting something that is so much bigger than these crises. So if you're someone who doesn't fully buy into this Jesus thing, give it a shot right now, especially in these uncertain times. Give it a shot, and I bet you'll find a peace that you've never had before, a peace that no government entity, no leadership position will ever give you. They're not going to have all the answers, because no one really has all the answers outside of what Christ has done for us, and we know that to be solid fact. Mm-hmm. So lean into that, try it out, give it a shot, and see the peace that can kind of come from that. And I bet you it'll absolutely 100% change your perspective. It'll change your life. It'll change your family's life. And really, they talk right now with kids, and the idea that you don't want to portray the crisis right now to your kids, that we need to lean into making sure our kids understand that everything's fine, that mom and daddy are still in charge, we're still fine. Right. So that's been something, my girls don't really, they just are excited because they don't have to go to school, right?
They've got more peace than anyone.
Yeah, seriously.
How long can we keep this thing going?
Yeah, mom and daddy have to teach them. But just hold on to the fact that the peace of Christ, it surpasses all understandings. Everything that we have in this world that we don't understand, i.e. the corona stuff right now, Christ knows it. He's got it. He's going to take care of us. So I would just encourage everyone out there. And again, it's easier said than done. I mean, to live that out, just like you were saying, I'm guilty. Like I'll be the first one to tell you when I'm at work, I'm not buying into all this stuff. And it's hard because if I continue to, just like you're saying, if I bash it, if I continue to, complain about the people that are complaining about the coronavirus, like what good am I doing? Because that's not what Jesus would have done. If he would have been here in these times, if he would be here right now, he wouldn't portray that. He would have a certain peace, a certain calmness about him that people would want to find out, like, what does that guy have that I don't? What am I missing? Right,
that's that calmness. So lack of peace is caused from lack of control. If I feel like I'm out of control or losing control, that's unsettling, and that's that lack of peace. And so the control that we have is not over the coronavirus. We do not have control over that. What we do have is our interpretation, understanding, and how we deal with that whole situation. Whether I let my anxiety climb high or whether I keep it in check, whether I am pleasant to people or whether I'm angry at people. I mean, these are the things that allow me to still have control. So as a strong dad, our final challenge here is to basically say, how are you teaching your kids to have control over what they can control? And if we can't control it, then you let it go. Yeah. You let it go. It's not, as we said before, I am not in a policy making role, and so I am not going to burn up time questioning everything that they're doing. Because I will also say that it's very short-sighted for us to armchair quarterback those folks.
Sure,
it doesn't do us any good. When this is all said and done, that's when you have those conversations about what could have we done better.
Right.
But you're in the middle of the battle. Now is not the time to question.
Yeah.
All right. That's silly. If that happened in an actual ball game, somebody would get slapped. Okay. And so now is not the time that you question everything. Now is the time where you roll with what policy is, whatever is existing. You stay calm. All right. And then at the end of this, then we can talk about what could we do better next time. Because here's the deal. There is going to be a next time. Yeah. Whether it's a virus or whether it's a tornado or an earthquake, there will be another time.
Crisis, yeah.
Yeah. And so please do not burn up any of your oxygen trying to second guess what's going on in the current situation. Remain calm and show that to your family.
Yep. I mean, we were driving here to record a show. I asked Ava. Again, she doesn't know everything that's going on. She knows, she's heard coronavirus. I said, "Hey, baby girl, how many plagues were in the Bible?" And she's like, there was 10 of them, Daddy. And just that idea that, just like you were saying, this isn't going to be the last. It sure as heck isn't the first. Just hold true to the fact that Jesus overcame this world, that the stuff is going on currently. He's here for us, and lean into that, and come together with right now more than ever. We need to come together as people, as men. We need to lead our family, doing it with our spouse, coming together, having a sense of calmness. Lead your family in that sense. That I've talked before on this show that when I'm inside of a fire, some of the best leaders I have act like they're bored. And they're there. They have control. Although what may be going on the inside of them might be chaotic. But what they portray to other people is a sense of calmness, and those are the people that when I'm inside of a fire, those are the people I want to be with, because they're in complete control of what they can control. Yes, the fire sometimes does odds and ends stuff that we can't control, but what they know exactly what we can control, and that's the stuff that we attack. So just like you were saying, I think it's been good for me just to talk through this stuff. If you want to talk to people about this, like you here at Rock Solid Family is a great opportunity. If you feel like your life is in crisis, like, seek help. Now more than ever, seek help. Seek someone that can speak truth into your life, because if you don't have that, man, you need that. You need someone who can convict you, who can call you out for your BS. Like, I have a small group, and I'm sure if I went to my small group and started complaining about everything that's going on, like, or just like when I called you, like, Marilla, it's just like, I just need to talk to somebody who, I don't want to call you wiser than me. That would be a dangerous road.
I would never want the responsibility of that.
But just seek someone out that can speak truth to you, that can kind of look at what you have going on from a different perspective, and can call you out for what you got going on. And you can't be offended by when they're telling you things, because my last 36 hours when I was at work, I did a lot of complaining. And I know now my next 24 hours when I go into work tomorrow, like, I have to be better than that. I have to continue to try and improve, trying to make better decisions, use my words to uplift the guys that I work with when they feel like they're in complete crisis and their life is swirling. Like, I have to be able to speak truth in that, let them know that Jesus overcame this world. Like, that's what we should hold on to, not what the COVID-19 is doing right now. Like, who cares about that right now? Not that we shouldn't completely disregard it and disregard the crisis, but understand that there's so much bigger things in this world right now that we can really hold on to, that will bring us a peace. Because if you consume your life with the COVID-19, it ain't going to bring you peace.
No, it'll make you crazy. Make you crazy. All right. Well, hey, we're going to wrap things up. And so we do want to just encourage all you strong dads out there to step up, be a strong dad, keep things in perspective, and just be that calm sense of peace in your house, so that your family can rely on you and can trust that things are going to be okay. We better say thanks to our sponsors. I'm going to do the Beer House. How about that?
Sounds good.
We want to thank Kramer's Beer House down on 128 for helping us out and sponsoring our Strong Dads podcast. And because I'm so good at this, I'm just going to take the other one too. And really? Mansfield Insurance. You're so shook up from this COVID.
Oh,
you know what?
man.
You're actually starting to break a sweat and stuff. You're looking pale. You better go get a washcloth and put it on your head. We want to thank Mansfield Insurance for supporting Strong Dads as well. Let's get out there and let's do our part to show people that Christ is in our life and that we have a sense of calm that just blows people away.
Yep.
Kyle, what do you need to say here?
Go out there and be some strong dads.
Hey, this is Merle Hutchinson from Strong Dads. Strong Dads wants to thank Mansfield Insurance Agency in Bright, Indiana for sponsoring today's Strong Dads podcast. Established in 1981, the Mansfield Insurance Agency has been dedicated to the individuals and businesses in Bright, Indiana, serving clients throughout Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky.